I'm Leah DiCicco-Ramu. Welcome. This is Teacher Talk. Hi everyone. This is episode 4 of How to Talk to Teachers, Teacher Talk. Are the kids all right? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to delve into student health, well-being, and learning, a topic that is top of mind for all parents, regardless of whether their children are in or outside of school, especially today. Are they okay? How are they doing? It's a big issue for a lot of parents right now because kids are having a tough time, as we all are. So there's so many components that we need to consider to answer that question and make sure that it is a definitive yes. So they're in the sweet spot, and they can learn. So here are the big ones we need to have in place for all students: emotional and mental health, social health, physical health, environmental support, balance, and coping skills. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like social emotional learning 2 episodes ago? It's really important because it ties into how we're going to impact and how we're going to affect social emotional learning today. So perhaps these seem a little obvious, and it's our job as parents and caregivers and teachers to provide these safe and nurturing environments for kids to work on their wellness and incorporate these strategies into their journey so they're practicing them seamlessly. But sometimes our kids are having a tough time, and sometimes we're all having a tough time. And it helps to have these strategies in place so they can cope. It starts with understanding themselves, their triggers, and learning how to soothe during these times of stress. They need relief from anxiety, from depression, from isolation, from anger, frustration, all these human reactions to situations that we find uncomfortable. First, they have to be able to name them. And then we start this really young. Little kids in kindergarten teachers often show faces with happy face and sad face or an angry face and the word underneath it, and get those reading and that literacy going as well. So they start to understand what these emotions are. But it's very different. It's on a much deeper level when they have to feel them, regulate them, and then respond appropriately. And that's what we're getting at today before they can learn. Okay, so it's about having that social emotional strength and maturity, and then being in that sweet spot again to learn. So that's right. We need to help them articulate and express how they're feeling and incorporate these strategies to address whatever they're trying to cope with so that they're ready to learn. Because children today, they need more. They need more than just academics to thrive. And I think that's what we're starting to talk about a lot more. And we have to teach kids to deal with their emotions so they can be in and contribute to the world in full expression of who they are. So joining me today is a wonderful healer who has a unique approach to navigating these tough moments. Julie Lafleur is a dedicated wellness practitioner who transitioned from a successful 20-year career in technology industry. She's a corporate burnout survivor that's passionate about empowering individuals to optimize their well-being, find inner peace, we could all use that, and tackle emotional, physical, and mental health challenges. Julie also collaborates with organizations to equip high-achieving teams with effective stress management tools and techniques. So if we can teach these kids young, we might get Julie out of a job because high-achieving teams won't need them. We'll have taught them in school. So hopefully by that point, Julie will be retired and enjoying her best life. Her approach is especially focused on emotional and mental health, recognizing its profound impact on people of all ages: adults, kids, teens, and young adults. She teaches powerful mind-body tools that help individuals face these challenges head-on. These days, Julie is also leading a social impact program on future skills in Canada for Virgin Unite's 100% Human at Work initiative. Julie is a proud mom of 2 sporty boys. Oh my God, those boys are so cute. And 2 adorable fur boys. Her approach is warm, inclusive, and centered on helping others achieve a balanced life. Welcome, Julie. It's such a pleasure to see you. You are always a bright light. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Leah. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Great. Well, we're going to jump into some questions because I think we've given our viewers and our listeners a nice overview of who you are, what you do, and what has called you to this work. And I know that you're doing really well. We talked a number of years ago when we were just starting out, and I just want to say how proud I am of you for coming this far and continuing to do this work and help others. I think it's something to be applauded and something to be celebrated. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Tell us about your approach. I know that there's a lot of strategies and a lot of talk around out there of what we can do to help kids center, be calm. There's so much going on there, but you're doing something that's really interesting. So please tell us about that.
Yes, I am all about empowering people. So, like you said, kids, teens, adults, we all need this, even seniors. Empower them with tools that we carry with ourselves, our own hands, our own bodies, getting people back into their body, getting them grounded and in the present moment so that they feel safe. So often we think that, anxiety is something that is, that we can control with our thoughts. If only I can control my thoughts. But really, there's more and more research that shows that anxiety is felt in the body before it's even, a conscious thought. There's a lot of memories that are stored in the physical body and the energy body, and I love tools that can help address that. And so using tools that, we have ourselves to regulate the nervous system and to regulate emotions so that specifically in a school context, that kids can feel safe and they can feel calm, because once they're in that space, then they're open to learning, which will make us all more productive and happy.
I think you call it something really, really important that we often forget, and that's our bodies. How our bodies respond to these emotional triggers and what our bodies do. And we forget because we're always running around like chickens with no head to the next thing, and we never stop. We never stop, and we're never still to even say, hey, hang on a second, how is this feeling in my body? Yeah. So that's the first step. How do I feel? Okay, that's the result of the meltdown, right? We see kids having meltdowns, whether they're neurotypical, neurodivergent. We have meltdowns when our body is overwhelmed with these this input that responds with synaptic responses, and we don't even know. So the first step is to stop.
It's true. And actually, because we operate mostly unconscious on a subconscious level, our brain wants to be really efficient for us. And so when our body starts to feel, a trigger, the brain is like, oh, I remember how this feels. I remember how to react. So you start to feel anxious, and then your body says, oh, let me help you be efficient. Don't even think about this. Just go to a meltdown. That's the neural pathway in the brain that's created. And so we don't even know that that's what we're going to do. All of a sudden, it happens so fast, especially for kids, they just go straight to that meltdown. So these tools help regulate emotion. They help rewire the brain to help the brain understand, even though I'm feeling this way, my body feels this way, I'm safe right now. Therefore, rewiring the brain for more calm.
And I think that before that we can get our kids to do it. So I'm thinking of the mother in the supermarket whose yes. child, and it's you see it all the time, supermarket, toy store, whatever, whose kid is having a meltdown. Mm-hmm. They also have to have that moment of calm, because otherwise it's meltdown meeting meltdown, and Absolutely. That's not going to work for anybody.
Yeah.
So we need these cues to say, hold up, meltdown coming on. And then be able to pivot and incorporate what you're going to talk to us about today, which is one way to do that, to calm ourselves down, to slow down our nervous system and respond as opposed to react.
Yeah, and that brings up a few great points. One is that we're all energy. And so when I go into classes and I talk to kids about these tools and techniques to help us with our emotions, I talk about, what happens in the morning when you wake up and you're super grumpy. How is mommy or daddy or grandma or grandpa, whoever's waking you up, how do they respond? And then they always say they're grumpy too. And it's like, yes, see how powerful you are? Your energy is affecting their energy. And so you bring up a great point. If we are not calm and centered and grounded, no matter how the kids react, as soon as there's a reaction, we get all stressed out as well. And then we feed off of each other. And so there is definitely the response. So how do we use these tools in response to some of the big emotions? And my most favorite is, how do we use these tools proactively to kind of prime? So this includes potentially including it in a daily routine, a 5-minute 5 minutes of techniques either before bed or when you get up, just to wire yourself for calm, so that when those things come up, because they always will, that we react or respond differently.
Yeah, and it becomes a cue and it becomes a behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Just like brushing your teeth, and then you do it automatically. That's what happens when you instill a behavior, and your brain isn't wired, and those synaptic connections and all those great chemicals that are released in your brain are firm, and that you're just going to respond that way. So we've gotten into some of the deep reasons why we need these strategies, but I want to know what this strategy is. Tell us about it, Julie. What is it? What are you doing? What is this cue that you're getting people, not only kids, because we're in this weird spot right now where the teachers and the parents have to learn it themselves and then be able to teach it to the kids effectively. So what is it? What are we talking about here?
It is my absolute most favorite tool. It is called EFT tapping, or sometimes just tapping. The EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it combines the ancient Chinese wisdom of acupressure and the great new revelations of modern psychology. And so what we do is we tap on certain acupressure points in the body, and I'll walk you through those, and we'll maybe even do a bit of tapping together. And so you walk through, or you tap on certain parts of the body, and you bring to mind the depleting emotion, whether it's sadness or fear or anger or frustration or anxiety. So you're bringing to the forefront how you are feeling. You define where you feel it in your body, which is a bit of a challenge sometimes for people because we're so disconnected, as we talked about, from our body. But oftentimes, once I start talking and asking questions, people will quickly find it. We often find our emotions, in our heart, like sadness in my heart, or I feel this pressure in my shoulders, this tightness in my shoulders, or this tension in my head, or I feel like I can't breathe. When I give those examples, people definitely resonate and can say, oh yeah, that's where I'm feeling it. So you're combining acupressure points, and then you're focusing in on the distress.
Okay, so I'm gonna tap on a certain part of my body, which you're gonna show me.
Yes.
And then I'm going to identify whatever emotion I'm feeling. Okay, and then how do I release it? Or how do
It releases by tapping and focusing in on that distress. And so it's sometimes different. People say to me, so you want me to focus on the negative emotion? Like, aren't we supposed to be positive? We're such now a society focusing in on positivity, which, hey, I'm all about positivity. I'm super hugely optimistic. But in this case, what we want to do is we want to focus in on that negative, or sorry, it's not negative because all emotions are great. They're just signals. They're just trying to give us message. So we focus on the depleting emotion and where it is in our body so that we can then let it go. So often we push away negative emotions. It doesn't feel good to be angry. We're taught it's not okay to be angry. It doesn't feel good to be sad. How often have we told our kids, don't cry? We mean well, but we just don't want them to be uncomfortable. In this case, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to feel these emotions as we tap on certain acupressure points, so then we can let it go. Emotions are energy in motion. They want to be felt and then let go. But so often we hold them hostage and we push them down into our body, and we numb with, being busy or eating or social media. We're like, oh, that doesn't feel good. I'm going to do something else so that I forget about it. What we're going to do in this case is we're going to bring it to the forefront. And as we tap, and because we're tapping, it sends a signal to the brain saying, even though I'm feeling this crummy feeling, I'm okay and I'm safe. So it's okay to feel this depleting emotion like sadness, but I am safe. There is no danger. And so you're literally rewiring the neural pathways in the brain so that when that comes up again, you stay in a state of calm. Does that make
I
more
think that's
sense?
wonderful. And I'm wondering if we can even go a little deeper. I always look at emotions, and I don't, I agree with you when you say there's no charge to an emotion. It's either positive or never a negative. It just is. And it's to be experienced and it's to be felt.
Yes.
But emotions are also messengers. So you talk about how tapping puts you back into a state of calm, so your brain is not hijacked by whatever emotion that you're feeling. But then do you, in this therapy, and you may not, this may be another practitioner, go deeper and say, okay, what is that emotion teaching you? What is it telling you? So then you can respond appropriately to whether the stimulus is pleasant or unpleasant. What am I going to do about it? Or is it just bringing us into a state of calm? Does you go deeper? Or?
Well, the funny thing about stress is that your hindbrain, which is wired for survival, completely takes over. And so the blood rushes from your forebrain, which is all about language and communication and problem solving and ideas, and the blood goes away from that. So you're unable to process what's actually going on. You're unable to find great solutions. And so we're trying to get ourselves to a place of calm so that we can respond and not react.
Perfect. And I've called it the sweet spot where we want kids to be when we're going to be introducing academics.
Exactly.
Because they're, if upset, angry, frustrated, all that stuff, your brain has been hijacked, like you just said,
Yes.
and you can't learn.
Right. And so imagine a place where you can still be nervous about a math test, but you've tapped on, even though I'm anxious about this math test, and I can feel that in my heart. I'm okay and I'm safe right now. And then you continue to tap. And then imagine you're in this math test, and yes, you are nervous. Nervous and excited are kind of two sides of the same coin. So you can be nervous, but you still have access to your problem solving ability.
And you can write the test.
And you can write the test. It's not
Or do
stopping
whatever.
you. Your nervousness is not stopping you from accessing information and thinking and yeah.
It sounds amazing. So I have one question before we test it out on me, and you know me well. So we talked about what we look at: negative anger, frustration, sadness, depression, anxiety. What if you're overstimulated with excitement or joy or laughter? Like that can be over the top as well, right? So
Right.
does tapping also help you regulate with those emotions that you aren't expressing appropriately?
And the beautiful thing about tapping is it can work for anything. And so you can even say, even though I have so much energy right now and it's time to be calm, I'm a good kid anyway. Even though I'm so excited right now and I feel like I'm going to get in trouble because I'm being too loud. It's normal to feel this way, and I honor myself. And so you can do it that way. It's all about, the truth of how you're feeling, and then giving yourself a little bit of grace. When I tap with kids, when I say that piece, I'm okay, I'm safe, and I'm a good kid, I'll always say, how does that feel? And they'll say, really good. Because how often do we stop and tell ourselves that? Just because you're excited, and sometimes you get in trouble for that, it doesn't mean you're not a good person, right? Both can be true. And so, yes, you can also tap on kind of those overcharged, exciting emotions. Does that make sense?
Because that would be me.
There
I'm
you go.
very, you some people that are watching know me, and you know me. I get really excited and I get really passionate about the stuff that I'm doing, and I get really fast. Ian Fogarty, if you're watching, when we work together, he's like, "Where are you?" Because my mind is really fast. So sometimes it's really important for me to stop, take a breath, allow people to catch up, center myself.
Okay.
and listen to what I'm stuff things that I'm missing because I'm going so fast. So that's why I want to say, can I do this if I'm excited? Can I do this if, and maybe that's anxiety, right? Excitement, anxiety. Maybe it's like you said, two sides of the same coin.
You want to do that right now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because I'm so excited to see you. Where I know one of my triggers is let Julie talk, right? So I work on that. Sometimes I'll use a fidget spinner. I'll just pull out one of these guys. I have them on my desk, and I'll just it's the same sort of thing, right? I'm doing something with my hands to detract my back brain from going haywire. It's grounding me. But I'd like to try it with the tapping, if we can. So where do I start? Can you show me some techniques?
For sure. Okay, and so just take a deep breath, maybe. Start to feel yourself going back into your body. We'll just do a quick grounding. See if you can notice the empty space inside your toes. We're made of so many cells, and in the cells there's lots of empty space, and so just notice that empty space inside your feet. Notice that empty space in your legs. Notice and feel the empty space inside your torso. Slowing your breath down. Noticing all that empty space inside your shoulders and your arms. Notice the empty space inside your neck. And just notice that empty space in the middle of your head. And as you take maybe one more deep breath, then start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And you can flutter your eyes open, bringing you back here. All right. Now this is just kind of an additional, I just did a grounding. You don't have to do the grounding when you're tapping in class if you don't want to, but it could be good to get everybody kind of back into their body. And
That was a body scan.
yeah, it was quicker than I would normally do, but for the
It worked. And
Yeah.
I practice a lot of these techniques, so I can get there. And I'm like, but I was like right away, okay, I feel the tension. I feel the tension in my solar plexus, which is right under my diaphragm. I'm feeling the tension in my shoulders. I'm feeling the tension in my jaw. And I like I'm talking, I don't even realize that.
Yeah.
But that brought my attention into my awareness to relax those things.
nice.
It's
And
like,
when
okay.
you think about, going too fast, when you think about, you tell me what that kind of feels like, or what you think that challenge is for you.
I've always got a million things on the go. I always feel that I have to do more. I mean, I think this is nothing new to mums who work, and especially mums of small children. So it's always about, I can do 25 things. And I want to get them all done. I'm a very driven person. I like to achieve. Sometimes I wonder if I'm addicted to it, addicted to accomplishing things. I like the rush of achieving. I love that check mark off of my to-do list. It makes me very happy. And I love what I do, so it doesn't feel like work. But it takes its toll. So I have to be very particular about what I do, when I do it, how I do it, especially as you age, right? Especially as you age, you go, I can't go to the gym 7 times a week anymore. My body won't let me.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of wisdom that's also coming in to being in my body. So where I feel it is telltale for me. It's like, okay, you're really being hard on yourself, Leah DeChico Rameau, around all the things you want to accomplish. And I go deeper as well. Where is that? Where does that belief come from? Where was I told that? Why do I feel the need to have to do all these things? That's deeper work than centering, which is what we're talking about here. Is how do we get back into our bodies, center our kids, acknowledge how they're feeling. I love when you say, I'm a good kid, because maybe that's all I need to hear.
Well, so a few things pop into mind there, and I think we're in a society, and ideally shifting out of that society so that we can, start to teach our kids differently. But our generation certainly, often our value, there was a straight line from our productivity to our value. And so I feel like that kind of is where it could come from. When I tap with adults, often they come in with something that is very recent that happened. And often when we start to tap memories of things that have happened or where they learned that behavior or belief pop up, which allows us to then tap on that. And then it releases patterns and it releases limiting beliefs. But the great news for children is that they're so young and they have so many less layers than we do, that when we do EFT tapping with them, they shift so quickly. And so I'll get into tapping with you, but I just want to, if I can, take a minute to tell a story about my son. He came home one day and he was showing me this book, and I didn't recognize the book, and he said, "Look, Mommy, this book, it's so amazing, I love it, it's mine, it's mine from upstairs." And I was like, "Ew, that's sounds a little suspect, I've never seen this book." So then I look inside and there's the name of a teacher inside that book. And so I said, "This isn't your book, is it?" And then he started crying, and he's like, "It was just so beautiful, and I just wanted it, and I had to have it, and I just took it, and now I don't even know what to do," and on and on and on, and the tears. And I said, "Okay, take a deep breath, it will be fine." And then we just started tapping, and we said, even though I took this book and I feel really guilty and I can feel that in my heart, I'm a good kid anyway. And we kind of said that 3 times, and then we went to the points, feeling guilty in my heart. Breathing is important. I feel guilty in my heart, and I feel sad. After a few rounds, he was like, ready to go. He's like, "Okay, I feel so much better." And then he walked away, and then he comes back, and he's like, "Oh, I have to give it back, don't I?" I said, "Yes, you do." And he's like, "Can we tap on that later?" And I said, "Yes, we can." So, all that to say that after a few rounds, he just shifted right out of his fight or flight reaction into being able to think more clearly. Like, he walked away and then thought to himself, okay, that next step is coming too. When he was in the whole stress response, he couldn't even think about what he needed to do to make it right.
That's, what, Julie? Yes, you've really mastered the tapping and have him centered, but your approach wasn't one of shame.
Yeah.
You didn't shame him. You didn't belittle him. You didn't punish him. Mm-hmm. You allowed him to work through how he was feeling, and then he came to the right thing to do on his own.
Yes.
And that's a really different way to parent, because the I shouldn't say the typical, but a very usual response would be to, "What have you done? Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to take things," but like all that kind of stuff, mm-hmm. which doesn't help the situation.
You
lied to me,
right?
You stole all those nasty things. Mm-hmm. And back to, you were able to regulate yourself and have compassion for this child who was, if you strip away the stealing and all that stuff, and you see the kid's excitement and wonder about this book, mm-hmm. it's not to say you don't acknowledge those other things, but you didn't have to because he did.
That's right.
I
And
think
he
that's
felt
wonderful.
that. They know what's right
They
and
know.
what's wrong. And so just giving them the space to have that emotion and then to be able to let that go so that they can come up with their own solutions. They can figure it out. And, I'm
Wow.
not going to say that I'm always the perfect parent and I sometimes jump to that. But I do find that tapping every day really helps to calm me and to come with that approach of letting them have their space, letting them have their emotions. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of a cool story to show how quickly they shift, because he was from meltdown city to finding solutions and then moving on with his life literally within 3 minutes.
Okay, so I've seen you do this. I've seen you do this.
Yep.
I've seen you do this. I've seen you do this. What am I doing for my excitement? Anxiety. What are the points? Can you tell us what these points are?
Yes,
What's
absolutely. So I will walk you through the points, and maybe I'll do that first. And so first you would start with what's called the side of the hand, and it's right here. And I often get questions like how fast or how slow, and it doesn't really matter. I'm a pretty intense person, so I like to do things fast, but you can also just tap slowly. If there's
I'm fast.
yeah, me too. If there's sensory challenges that come into play, you can also just hold and breathe. So it's about the point, and the points are so small that you're going to cover them with your hands, so you don't have to worry about like the exact right place. So this is where you start, and this is where you would have your even though statements. And so even though I have so much excitement that I go so fast, I honor how I feel and who I am.
Why do I have to close? I feel like I have to close my eyes. Is that normal? Is that natural?
You can.
Maybe it helps me reduce some stimuli, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's less for the back of the brain to.
Yeah, you can do that. All right, so repeat after me. Even though I have so much excitement.
Even though I have so much excitement.
And I always go fast.
And I always go fast.
And I can feel that. Where do you feel that in your body?
Ooh, in my throat and in my diaphragm.
Mm-hmm. Where does it feel more? In your throat?
Yeah.
Okay. And I can feel that in my throat.
And I can feel that in my throat.
I honor how I feel.
I honor how I feel.
And I honor myself.
And I honor myself.
How does that feel?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do it one more time. Even though I always go so fast.
Even though I always go so fast.
And I'm afraid of over talking.
And I'm afraid of over talking.
I can feel that in my throat.
I can feel that in my throat.
I honor how I feel.
I honor how I feel. Julie, it's gone.
See, so fast. And I'm open to letting that go.
And I'm open to letting that go. It's gone.
Okay.
That's wild.
Eyebrow point. We'll just go through a round just to show everybody. So this point is actually kind of between the eyebrows here.
Okay.
It's on a bladder energy pathway for fear.
Oh.
This is where you tap. The next one is on the side of the eye, right on the bone. And you just breathe as you tap, and you would typically just have people feel, tune into their throat or tune into wherever they were feeling it. Or you could just say, anything that keeps you in the moment. So for you.
So this is fear. What's this?
Well, they don't all have the.
Okay.
This is like on the gallbladder point, and so gallbladder is anger.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But you don't have to. This is just a sequence. You don't have to go to a specific point for a specific emotion. Okay, under the eye.
I like this one.
You like this one?
I don't know, it
Yeah.
feels good.
Well,
It
this
feels
is,
good.
there's a whole episode that we can have about kind of the Chinese five elements and each of the emotions associated to it. But
It's making me feel more alert for some reason.
well, this is a wood element, and wood elements like accomplishment, and they like to move things forward, and so it's not.
So it's feeding my addiction.
Well, maybe it's
Maybe-
just soothing you, right? It's,
Yeah, it is. It's actually very soothing.
yeah. Okay, under the eye. This is a stomach point. It's very grounding. And so this is even just a good one to get them back into their body. So we did a whole grounding together, but all of these points are also grounding. So just doing the tapping in a classroom setting will ground people. Okay.
This would force me to open up my jaw. It's good.
Oh yeah. Stomach, and then under the nose.
What's this
and
one for?
Under the lip.
Do you use these for a particular situation, or are they random? Like, how do you?
They're not random. They're specifically chosen sequence, and
Okay.
so you don't have to do all of them. Some people don't like how some feel. Some people love how specific ones feel. You can do that too. Yeah. So, for example, if you wanted to do that, you could just do that while watching TV, waiting for your coffee.
What's this one?
This is a psychological reversal point. And so it is on this is actually on the heart meridian.
I love the way these are all tied to organs.
Yes. Yes, this is all part of Chinese medicine.
Julie, I swear to God, guys, viewers, I feel a lot calmer.
Yeah. You know what? We should have rated the intensity before we started, but the next one is collarbone point. So you kind of find the U shape in the collarbone. You go down an inch, out an inch. There's a bit of a dip there. And you just...
Oh, I like this one too.
Me too. I love this one. So even if, like, some teachers might be thinking, how do I fit all of this? You could just even have a cue. When kids are coming in from recess, and you just say, okay, come on in, and when you're ready, just tap here. And then once everybody is tapping, then you're ready, and you have the effect of you're calming them down.
I wouldn't even say anything. I would just start doing it, and the kids will follow.
Perfect. I love that.
Just start doing it.
Yeah,
so this
I love
is
what you
something
were
really
doing here. You were doing this bilateral tapping. In my practice with my clients, if emotions are flooded or people are feeling things really intensely, I get them to do the bilateral tapping, because then it starts to engage both sides of the brain and the crossing over. So this is a good technique to bring things right down.
So I did that naturally because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so excited, because if I saw myself doing this as the kids came in from recess, I would just start. So that was like pure evidence that it's happening in your brain. It happened naturally.
Right. And all of this,
Julie, this is really wonderful.
So
I think
intuitive, but it's just kind of buried because we haven't used these tools. Okay, and the next
this
one
is so easy. Oh, there's more? Okay.
Yep, under the arms. So it's about 4 inches. So you can do that. You can just do one hand.
I like this one too. I like
this
them
one
all.
too. This one is spleen point, and so spleen helps to metabolize. So if you've had a big lunch, you can tap here, but it also helps to metabolize thought and emotion. And so if you have this thought, like say for example, you had an argument with your friends in the schoolyard, and you can't stop thinking about, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why did they do that? Just breathe and tap here.
I like this one.
And then the last one is top of the head. And then I just have kind of shake off any of that. And so that's kind of the sequence. I mean, we did kind of the extended mix where I was, showing, but you can quickly go through 1 or 2 rounds. And you can say words, but kids are so in tune to how they're feeling. You know, you don't, they're feeling it. For adults, we use the words to keep us focused on what that emotion is and what the situation is, so that we don't kind of try to skirt it and go somewhere else. We just keep it in our minds. But with kids, you know, if there's a challenge at recess and they come in and they're all, you know, upset, I would just say, okay, let's just take some breaths. And then you'll start to see they'll like start to calm down already. And then you can be like, okay, so tell me what happened, you know, and then they'll
That's
be
amazing.
in a more calmer place than,
That's amazing. This is really, really effective. And I love the way you've walked us through the history of it, that is based in ancient Chinese medicine. I love the connection to the body. I love the body scan or the grounding exercise to start. And I love the fact that this, I think, is so doable for teachers.
yeah,
And parents and adults.
yes.
So I know we're talking in the context of teachers and parents and what we can do to get our kids ready to learn. But I think we can all do this. We just did it. It's very simple, and I feel calmer.
Yeah.
And I felt the energy moving through my body, and even having the awareness of like, oh you don't even know, because you're in fight mode, right? You're like, gotta get this done, gotta get that checklist off my to-do list, and all the stuff that takes us through our day.
Right.
Well, that's incredible. That's very, very effective. But I want to really highlight that this is doable in schools. And there are schools, full-on schools, that are doing this work. You shared a video that I will share out in the show notes and in the resources for the podcast and the webcast, so people can view that video and see how it's happening in schools, and more information around tapping. So it's important that people have something that they can take away and refer back to. Yeah. But I know that you're also starting to do this in schools, and I think that's amazing in here in Canada, because the video that you sent me was from the US. Have you started, so what success have you had in Canadian schools? And of course, where can people get in touch with you to book you in their schools?
Well, they can reach me at my website or on my social channels, and I think we'll share those kind of in the notes. But I have started to create workshops to teach teachers how to tap, and then also different mind-body tools that I have learned that really help to regulate emotions, not only for the kids in class, but also for themselves. Like, teachers are up against so much these days. You know, the world is a really charged place right now, and kids, like in the video, I believe it's the principal or maybe a teacher refers to an invisible backpack that all these kids are bringing in with them in school, and in that backpack is, you know, what's happening at home, what they're hearing their parents talk about. You know, could be financial struggles, could be food insecurity, it could be violence. There's so many things that are happening. And so when they come to school with these backpacks on, you know, they need to be able to feel safe before they can even learn. And the teachers also have lives and are participating in this world of ours. So they also have their invisible backpacks. So I love these tools, not only for in class and for students, but also for teachers, to get them more in a place of calm. There's so much expected of teachers these days: new curriculums, parent expectations, you know, full classes, children with needs that go above and beyond what they might be able to deliver with, you know, 30 other students, and all the pressures. And so I love these tools also for teachers. I think they're amazing.
I also want to add, it's wonderful that you're doing teacher workshops, but something to think about parent councils as well, because the parents could use a workshop. So parent councils might also benefit from a workshop where you're showcasing these tools, talking about them the way we have here today.
Yes.
So an invitation for parent councils to also look into, do a bit of research and maybe practice some of these tools and bring them into the home. Because when you have that consistency, I talk about that partnership between what's going on at home and what's going on in the school. That's really, really powerful for kids. So if they're learning to regulate their emotions and tap at home and then also at school, wow.
Totally.
These
And
kids
it's
are going to be so
modeling,
calm.
right? Like when the
Modeling,
kids
yes.
see that their parents are doing it, like I'll often be tapping because you can just do this anytime. So sometimes, just waiting for my coffee, I'm doing this and my kids will come into the kitchen and be like, what's wrong? Like nothing. I'm just priming the pump for calm, like and I do it sometimes when I'm driving. I'll just hit kind of the side of the wheel. The cool thing about this one, I don't know if you noticed, but when we started, you can't see my hands, but I'm tapping.
Are you?
I'm tapping the whole time. I just use it as a tool as often as I can, and it just keeps me in a place of calm, gives me clear thoughts. And so for some teenagers, maybe high school teachers that are watching saying, okay, this looks a little silly. I'm not sure I can get my teens to be doing it. They can do it without people even knowing. They could do it under their desk. You won't even know. You could be standing in the lineup. There's actually also some points at the side of the fingers, so they can just be tapping kind of like this, and you don't really know what people are doing. Even this, that could just seem like somebody fidgeting. You don't really know what that is. So it's kind of like covert ops for calm.
Yeah, I think that'll go over well with our teenagers and our kids in high school. So basically, I was going to ask you who can tap, but I think we've answered that anybody can tap.
Anybody can tap.
Anybody can tap.
Yeah. And so I am offering teacher workshops. I'd love to go into schools and teach teachers and students and parents how to tap. There is a wonderful organization out of the US called the Tapping Solution, and they have a ton of resources. It's actually a really great site as well. They also have an app on the phone that I love and I use. And that my kids use. There's a sports performance tapping, so you can do that to get focused before a competitive game. So they have an app. They have tons of videos, demonstrations. I'm available to do it here in Canada, but for people who want to check it out, definitely go in and check out the tappingsolution.com. They have great resources on there.
Perfect. Okay, we will. So there's other things we can do beyond tapping. I know we wanted to focus on tapping today, but I'm just looking at some of the notes: movement, bouncing, shaking.
Yeah.
Hook up, four-hold crossovers. What is that?
Yes. And so I'm a firm believer that we need to reinstate more movement in our society. We sit down a lot. Kids are sitting down a lot at school. My son has some challenges with learning. Reading is really hard for him, and I asked him his permission to kind of share a bit of his story, and he said definitely. But he starts to feel jittery in his body before he moves to math class, and so he needs to be able to move and get that energy out. And so I've showed him a few other techniques. There's this one called you can call it the forehead hold, if you will, just so that it's easy to remember. But you kind of just take your hand and you put it on your forehead, and then you take your other hand and you kind of cup the back and you just breathe.
Oh, I like this one. I like all of them.
No, it's so easy though, right? So again, if kids come in and they're all worked up about something that happened, basically what this is doing is your hand is like electromagnetic and is pulling the blood back into the brain.
Feels good, Julie.
I know. So after a few minutes, you might start to feel pulses in your hand on certain points. And so that kind of means that, what you were feeling has been integrated.
Feels good.
Yeah, and super easy to do. And like I said, we bring it everywhere. So that is one that I love. And the other one that I love, and so if students who have trouble with reading, this helps to de-scramble their words. So if they can't communicate or they can't get words out, or if they're having trouble reading, you can have them do this sitting down or standing up, but I'll just show you standing up. So you have one foot crossed over the other, and then you cross your hands over and you bring your hands in. So I also just call it like
I'm a little too scrunched to do that.
Oh, so you do this and then bring them in.
And they breathe through this? Is that the...
Breathe.
Got it.
So this is great for, again, reading, de-scrambling your thoughts, and then you do the other side. It's also really good to just calm them down. So what they're doing is hooking up the sides of their brain. So that you can call the hook up. They could do it just on their seats as well. The teachers can just prompt them maybe before silent reading time, or before some kids get nervous reading out loud, right? And so you can do the tapping to get the nerves out. Like my son had to read the prayer on the PA. It was his turn. And so we practiced all week. And then on the Friday, he went into school, and when he came back, I said, "So how did you do?" He's like, "Well, at first I tapped because I was so nervous, and then I did the hookup just before I read, and then I nailed it." I was like,
"Oh, that's great."
Yeah, so it's like these easy enough tools once you know, and you have awareness and you feel how great they make you feel. You know, it's easy to just get that done.
That's amazing, Julie. I can't thank you for not only taking us through and talking to us about some of these strategies, with the focus being on tapping, but also demoing, and you know, me going all Brene Brown and being very vulnerable with showcasing what's going on with my body in this moment. And I gotta say that I was really, really impressed because I felt it immediately. I'm like, oh, so that awareness in my body. Then being able to say, okay, where's this coming from? And then coming back and saying, okay, let that go. And this is a new moment. These are such important skills that we can teach our kids. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that parents and teachers will take you up on your offer to go into schools and support this work in the form of workshops. I think you're fabulous. I think what you're bringing to the world is incredible. I'm so proud of your journey and where you are right now. Keep shining, Julie Lafleur. You're quite special. And thank you for what you're doing for parents, kids, and teachers. Keep doing it, please.
Thanks, Leah. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm just so passionate about getting like these easy tools into the hands. Literally, they're in your hands. Just get more awareness, because I think, you know, one person at a time, we can make the world a better place.
That's right. We do this work together. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, everybody, for watching. For more information, please refer to the show notes, the podcast notes, the links that we're providing for you on our title cards. Please take this work away. Just these simple tools will make your life better, even if it's just for a moment. Be well, and see you next time.